This program airs statewide on California Public Television and is a California's Gold classic. Hi, I'm Huell. You know, no one would dispute the fact that California is a big place. We're also extremely diverse. It seems like every part of our state is different from all the other parts. So what we've decided to do is to visit the northernmost town in California, and then travel all the way down south and visit the southernmost town in our state. And we're taking this seriously too. Right over there is Oregon. I am standing as far north in California as you can get and still be in California. So if this adventure sounds interesting to you, if you're curious as to what we're going to find and where we're going to go, you're invited to join us as we continue our search north to south for California's gold.
California, here I come, right back where I started from, where bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning at dawning, birdies sing and everything a sun-kissed miss said, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up that golden gate, California, here I come. California, here I come, right back where I started from, where flowers of
It has to be one of the most beautiful places in our state. Located right up on the border with Oregon, it's an agricultural area where they grow potatoes, beets, wheat, barley, alfalfa, and onions. Now, this was the first time I'd ever been to this part of our state, and I was honestly overwhelmed by not only its natural beauty, but by its wide-open spaces. And if you'll notice, the sky is such a brilliant, clear blue, and the clouds are magnificent. Now, I'm sorry if I sound a little gushy about all this, but it was spectacular. We were in the area to visit the town of Tulelake, a quiet little place of about 1,000 people. And we didn't just pull into town on any old day either. We were there to attend Tulelake's second annual Horseradish Festival. You see, this is the horseradish capital of the world. They grow between 30 and 40% of all the horseradish eaten in the country. And once a year they throw a big celebration where horseradish is king. Now, the first thing on the agenda was a parade right down the main street of town. The crowds weren't exactly surging out into the street. It was kind of a low-key parade featuring horse-drawn wagons, a couple of members of the Butte Valley Fair Court on the hood of a '58 Chevy, cheerleaders from the local high school, and some vegetables. Now, what have we got here?
We have the Tulelake Butte Valley agricultural commodities called the Aggies.
And what do they represent?
They represent the commodities grown in our area.
So we have a
Potato,
sugar beet, grain,
a horseradish,
a
bale of hay, and that's it.
And that's it, except
an onion
at the end. And here, come on around here. This is it.
This is our medium-sized horseradish that we grow in our valley.
I love it. Can you come around and let us have a good shot of it, kids? Oh, boy. That's a big horseradish.
Small one we picked out.
Okay, have fun in the parade. From the parade, it was off to the fairgrounds, which, by the way, was one of the prettiest little fairgrounds I've ever seen. Now, there were several traditional activities going on here. You could get your car washed by the 4-H'ers, or let your kid go fish, or sit out on the bleachers and listen to some good old country music. There was also a livestock show where young people were showing off their prize calves. But at this festival, it was the horseradish-related activities that took center stage. And I quickly discovered that in these parts, just about everybody loves the stuff. You're eating the whole big... Oh.
I'm a horseradish connoisseur.
Oh, excuse me.
We came here from Eagle Lake.
Just for the horseradish?
Yes, right.
Now, what makes somebody a horseradish connoisseur?
Well, you're being raised on it,
Uh-huh.
and you get used to it. His dad used to grind his own horseradish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't bother you to eat large quantities of it?
No, and it certainly clears the sinuses.
Now, you're not going to give your little daughter horseradish.
Good stuff. What's that?
She likes... So you're...
Give it to Daddy.
So you're starting them out young with the horseradish.
Well, they're from Tulelake, so they can learn to live with this.
Uh-huh.
And at Tulelake, horseradish is good stuff.
So
It's
the
good.
idea is, in Tulelake, you start your children out eating horseradish at a very young age.
Spuds. That and spuds. Lots
Potatoes
of
and
potatoes.
horseradish.
And you can tell they're grain fed.
Look at that.
Huh? We're
Yeah.
grain fed, huh? Is that good? Want some more riches? Want some more? Here, here's some good Tulelake horseradish. Daddy.
What are we making over here? What is this?
It's supposed to be ballerina.
A ballerina? Oh, look, that is a ballerina. Dressed in pink. It's the first time I've ever seen a horseradish wearing a tutu.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Now, what have we got here?
We've got the longest route contest.
The longest route contest, and this is the grand prize winner. Now, this is very unusual, isn't it?
Fairly, yes. Sometimes you need a backhoe to dig them. They're so long.
Look at this thing.
Weird, huh?
Now, this is as fresh as it gets, right?
This is it, yeah.
We are making horseradish.
Right out of the root.
All right, so what do? I put this is horseradish.
Horseradish.
Put it in here,
We shred it.
and there it comes out the bottom. It's all shredded. And then what do we do with it? This is kind of like a cooking show here.
Then we put it in our blender with water and vinegar.
Uh-huh. Oh, you're blending it up.
We blend it. The finer you grind her, the hotter she gets. Now
Oh.
take a sniff of that.
No.
Hey, you don't need dress stand or anything else. All you got to do is be a horseradish grinder. Greatest sinuses in the country.
And then we
There it
take
is.
it right out of here.
We take it out of here. And we put it in our little pot.
Got a pot full of it right here. That's the real thing.
That's it. We put her in the pot.
And
we
then you
bottle it.
pour it into the bottle. And there it is. Fresh
Ground horseradish.
Tulelake Horseradish Festival.
Festival. It's a commemorative jar too. It's only done at this show once a year.
That's equivalent to about 5 sticks of dynamite in there right now. Don't you think?
You got it.
No doubt about it, Tulelake horseradish is hot, which brings us to the most unusual and most popular contest at the festival. Now, I thought I'd seen it all, but this was a contest where a person would go inside a phone booth and grind horseradish for 3 minutes. The person who could grind the most was declared the winner. And in case you're not aware of it, horseradish, when you grind it, lets off an odor that literally makes a grown man cry.
3, 2, 1,
That's it. Look at those eyes. Look at this man's eyes.
Good stuff.
Look at this. Brother Dave, I knew you could do it.
Good product.
Good product. Now, you're a local. There's a method to eating this horseradish raw, isn't there?
You betcha.
What's
First
the deal?
You start with your protective glasses. Keep the fumes away. You take a thin layer off the top,
Uh-huh.
all the way around, gets rid of the bark.
All right.
Okay, once you work it down, cut off a chunk. Stick it in your mouth and you don't bite on it, because when you bite on it, you release the enzymes. When the enzymes are released, your mouth just gets hot.
So what are you
just
doing? You're just
suck on it.
sucking on it now?
And when it loses its flavor, you bite into it a little bit, get a little deeper in the root, and work it all down again. And just keep doing it.
Now, why would somebody do this anyway?
When you're out in the field and you're working and you don't have anything to chew on, It's the best thing you can have there. Keep you busy the rest of the day.
I'd keep you awake the rest of the day.
You got it, man. This stuff will cure anything.
Do the locals really do this a lot? Just kind of chew on it like
Every day in the field, I grab a root. Just dig one up. When I'm driving tractor or whatever, I'll stop and grab a root, and away she goes.
Now we're going back into the boonies.
Right.
Now, I think I've already mentioned that Tule Lake supplies between 30 and 40% of all the horseradish consumed in our country. And the day after the festival, Monte Seus, a local farmer, gave me a tour of the area, starting with a visit to one of his fields where he's growing, you guessed it, good old horseradish. Now we're going to see how far down they really go.
Well, I'm not going to dig down that far, but...
Oh, there they are. Ah, yeah. That's the real stuff right there.
Now, by fall, those will double. Some of them will probably triple in diameter.
Now, Tule Lake takes great pride on being the horseradish capital of the world. But I quickly discovered that it's also got a lot of other things going for it. First off, as soon as you get out of the city limits, just about everywhere you look, you see wildlife. I don't know how many deer we saw. We lost count, but never got tired of looking at them. I mean, look at this magnificent buck. And then there were ducks and geese and all kinds of waterfowl, including pelicans and swans.
You're here kind of in the off-season. You're not seeing a lot of birds now. What are here now are kind of native, and they stay here year-round. But, in the fall and then again in the spring when they're returning to Canada and to Alaska, there's just lots of birds come through here.
Now, what do you mean lots of birds?
Hundreds of thousands. And
really?
Which is a lot of birds, but compared to, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago, when the fields would be full of geese and they'd get up and they'd actually block the sky. You couldn't see the sun. It was just amazing, the numbers.
Really?
Right.
So they would fill the entire sky?
Yes. Yeah. And the noise was just deafening from the wings and the squawking, and just incredible amount of birds.
That must have been something. Do you remember that as a boy?
Yes, definitely.
What did you think about it then?
Oh, that was just part of living here, you know. See it every year.
Now, the body of water all these birds call home much of the year is Tule Lake. There actually is a Tule Lake. It's part of a national wildlife refuge managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And it is beautiful. So these are the tules.
Right. This is why the place is named Tule Lake.
Now, what is a tule?
Well, these broad leaves that you see here look like tall grass. That's the tule.
Uh-huh.
And then these old white, the flowers on top here are called cattails.
Uh-huh.
They're real pretty in the fall. There's one there that's in pretty good shape yet.
Now, what do tules, what is the purpose of a tule?
Well, it's just a water grass that grows around a lot of these lakes and gives the ducks and such some habitat.
Uh-huh.
You see, they're kind of a reed.
Uh-huh. Well, there sure are a lot of them around here.
Right. And out in the lake further to the north here, they're just really thick, and the muskrats and the wildlife really use them a lot. You know, they're well utilized. So there's a big bulb down on the bottom, and that's how they spread.
So if we kind of rummaged around in here, we'd find some animals and wildlife.
Probably, right. But you don't want to walk out here. This looks like it's terra firma, but it is not. You probably go about halfway to your waist out there.
Really? Just right here?
Right.
Because it looks like it's...
Here's a muskrat hole right here. See that?
A muskrat hole.
Right.
Wow.
Feel how soft that's getting?
Yeah,
there?
see, it's already given way. Yeah. I bet you lose a lot of tourists this way, don't you?
Right.
Well, I last saw him out in the tules. Wow, this is great. This is it?
Yep, right up this mountain.
Okay. The tour ended with a visit to a local landmark. Actually, it was a climb up a local landmark. Everybody knows it as the Peninsula. It's a huge mountain that dominates the landscape. The highest peak is known as Castle Rock. It's over 500 feet high. And when you stand up there, you feel like you can see forever.
You're looking into Modoc County here, and if you look off the other side of the rock, you're looking into Siskiyou County.
So wait a minute, we're looking in Modoc County that way, Siskiyou County that way, Oregon
North.
this way, and California this way. We're
pretty well divided.
Kind of at a crossroads
Right.
here.
Makes it a real problem for our school districts and stuff because the kids are going all different directions, and yet we're all a big family here.
Wow. Do you think, do people here think of themselves a lot as kind of, I mean, I know you're Californians, but you're right at the border.
Right. We like to, Oregonians in this area and Californians in this area like to consider themselves as belonging to the state of Jefferson.
The state of Jefferson?
Well, Sacramento doesn't know we're up here, and Salem doesn't know they're down here, so we're just kind of out here on our own.
In the state of Jefferson?
Yes, that's right.
If you live in the state of Jefferson, who do you pay taxes to? That's the question.
Well, whoever comes and grabs you the hardest.
It was barren, it was dry, it was hot, about 115 degrees hot to be exact. But there we were, barreling down Highway 98, heading for the southernmost town in California, the town of Calexico. Now, I'd been told that this whole area was known as the salad bowl of the world, that it was an agricultural area, and I was beginning to think that we'd made a wrong turn somewhere. And then suddenly things were green, real green. There were fields of green as far as the eye could see. How could that be? Well, the answer is simple. It's called the All-American Canal, the valley's lifeline from the Colorado River. It cuts 82 miles right across the desert, and it's turned this desert into over 500,000 acres of the richest and most productive agricultural land in the world. I found out about all this from Patricia Brock Warren, who's with the Imperial Irrigation District and who gave us an exclusive canal tour. So this is it.
This is our lifeline.
How hard was it to build this canal?
It wasn't easy. The Bureau of Reclamation built this project in the 30s and completed it in 1940. When the first water was delivered, they had to use Fresnos, which
What are Fresnos?
Mules. And
so
other
they built
primitive
this with
tools.
mules?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that live in Imperial Valley have relatives that actually worked to build this canal. And the rest of them feel very involved because the Imperial Valley has paid back the federal government for the construction of this canal over the years.
Well, I would think it would be impossible to live here and not feel connected to that canal, because if you didn't have that canal, you wouldn't be living here. There'd be no water.
That's right. You wouldn't be here at all.
This is it. Is there any other water?
No, no other water supply. This is definitely desert. In fact, one of the things that John Glenn commented on as he was orbiting the Earth in his space capsule was how clearly he could make out the Imperial Valley, where the agriculture stopped and suddenly the desert began.
You mean it showed up that green, that clear, in a spaceship?
Even from that distance.
Wow. Well, this is definitely brown and desert right here. And right over there are green fields. Are you surprised at the people like me who have never heard of this before? I'd never heard of the All-American Canal, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not surprised. We're down in the southernmost part of California, right on the Mexican border, and it's not a place that too many people visit. A lot of people claim going through there on their way to somewhere else.
Well, we stopped here.
I'm proud of you. Especially at the end of July, which is the worst time you could possibly come.
Yeah, I got to talk to my travel agent. She's fired. Sending us down here in July. Continuing our hot adventure, we arrived in the town of Calexico. Now, Calexico, California has a population of about 20,000 people and sits right on the border across from Mexicali, Mexico, which is a major metropolis with a population of about 1 million people. Calexico has a small town homey feel to it, though, with some nice old buildings, a bustling and colorful downtown shopping district, and residential areas with tree-lined streets and nice homes. Now, one of the best ways to get to know a small town is to stop by the local newspaper office, which is exactly what we did right off the bat, visiting the offices of the Calexico Chronicle, which has been publishing for almost 90 years. I met the new editor, Hildy Carrillo-Rivera, and the fellow who was stepping down after being the editor for 30 years.
Do you think most people in California know where Calexico is or much about Calexico?
No, absolutely not. They don't even know where Imperial County is. You might say, well, that's a hot place down there on the border. I know when I go to San Diego, you're from where, Calexico? Where's that? It's on Imperial County. Oh, the desert. You see, then they begin to associate, but not Calexico. Very few people have been here.
Moving right along, one of the most interesting aspects about Calexico is its relationship to Mexicali. The two towns are right up next to each other, separated only by a fence. In fact, we're looking over into Mexico right now. And the real hot spot in town, as far as activity is concerned, is at the border inspection station. And being in kind of an international mood, that was our next stop.
Wait a minute now, where is this the border?
That's the border right there.
So this is the United States.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And this is Mexico.
That's correct.
And this is halfway.
You're straddling the line.
This is great. This is it right here. Yeah. Look at all these people pouring in here. This is
a lot of people. Well, you're looking at
These people are coming in to shop.
That's true. All these people, for the most part, are coming in for the purposes of buying food, groceries, clothing.
And then they'll take it back into...
And they go back to their homes.
So all this is good for the economy of Calexico.
Yes, the city of Calexico relies very heavily for their economic stability on the number of shoppers that come into the city.
Boundary marker 220A, and this is the real thing right here.
That's the official boundary marker.
And we are inside the United States here.
Yes.
And at the sake of overdoing it,
you're now in Mexico.
We're in Mexico right now. This is Mexicali.
This is
Calexico.
The proximity of both cities, the way they are, that's where this hands across the border, handshake motto was established, just like that.
Now, before we left Calexico, everybody said we had to eat at one of the most popular places around, the Mountain Signal Cafe, located a couple of miles out of town on Highway 98. Now, the Mountain Signal Cafe is owned and operated by Sandra Bazabal, who not only serves up some of the best quesadillas I've ever eaten, but has filled her little cafe with pictures of famous bullfighters, which makes perfect sense, because before she opened up this restaurant 30 years ago, she was a bullfighter herself.
Who is this over here? Let me see that picture.
This picture?
Yeah.
Me.
That's you?
When I
Let me see that. Let me see that.
When I get 16.
That is you when you... Oh, look.
Yeah, this is when I get 16.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
You look like a bullfighter.
Yes, this is when I get 16 years old.
Now, the Mountain Signal Cafe is a favorite hangout for locals. And after I finished my quesadilla, I ended up visiting with a fella whose family's been farming in the Imperial Valley for generations.
You know, we have the Mexican influence here, which I think is really great, and that's what helps make the Imperial Valley what it is. And we have a great culture here, and the people that are settled down into that really enjoy it. And everybody's real hang loose and down to earth, and most of the people that have been here a long time all know each other. And that's what makes it really nice. You can go somewhere and you see 2 or 3 people you know, and you go out of this valley and you hardly know anybody, but most people know each other down here.
Well, we've completed our little adventure from the northernmost to the southernmost town in California. And even though these two towns are 1,200 miles apart and are different in many ways, I think we've discovered that they also have a lot of things in common. They're both rich in history, and they're both filled with nice people. We have made a lot of new friends. New friends I'd like to thank not only for sharing their stories with us, but for their hospitality. Of course, as always, I'd like to thank you for watching and invite you to tune in again next time as we continue our search for California's gold. Now, you know, we always open and end each program with a version of California, Here I Come. That's kind of our theme song. But for this particular program, as a gesture of friendship and goodwill to our friends across the border, we've decided to end the program with a song that's very popular right around here, Mexicali Rose.
Ya no llores, que algún día de sol yo volveré. Todas las noches, tú bien lo sabes, debo de llorar por tu querer. Seca tus hermosos ojos negros, deja de llorar y suspirar. Bésame otra vez y duerme, flor de Mexicali, adiós. Bésame otra vez y duerme, flor de Mexicali, adiós.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.